When you picture Viking treasure, you probably think of glittering gold plundered from monasteries or jewel-hilted swords pulled from the hands of the fallen. But the most important treasure the Vikings left behind tells a completely different story. And it might change how we see the entire Viking Age. Across northern Europe, archaeologists have unearthed not a handful, but hundreds of thousands of silver coins. Many of them Islamic dirhams, their Arabic inscriptions naming far-off mints and dates. Mixed in are chopped fragments of bracelets and brooches, hacksilver, and neat bars cast for circulation by weight. This material isn't a pirate's jackpot, it's the residue of an economy. The Vikings dealt in silver by mass, weighing pieces on portable balances, paying and saving in a bullion system that cut across languages and kingdoms. Hoards, their buried bank accounts, show how that system worked and where the silver came from. On Gotland in the Baltic, the Spillings Hoard, found in 1999, remains the largest Viking silver treasure ever recovered. Roughly 67 kilograms of silver with more than 14,000 coins, the overwhelming majority dirhams. Gotland alone has yielded hundreds of hoards and well over 100,000 coins from the Arab world and beyond. Those figures aren't outliers. Scandinavian museums together now hold close to 500,000 dirhams. When we map these finds, a pattern emerges that doesn't begin on the Atlantic but far inland, along the river highways of the East. From Sweden, shallow draft crews rowed the Ostervägar, the Eastern Way, up the Volkhov and down the Volga or the Dnieper, dragging boats over portages where rapids blocked the flow. Fortified posts such as Ladoga and Novgorod anchored traffic. Farther south, merchant brokers among the Rus, Volga Bulgars, and Khazars linked Baltic markets to the Black and Caspian Seas and ultimately to the great cities of the Islamic Caliphate. In those cities, Baghdad, Samarkand, Al-Shash, silver coinage was abundant, consistent, and trusted. Abbasid and Samanid dirhams, typically over 90% silver, became the premium medium of wealth for northern traders who had few native silver sources. In exchange for this metal, northern caravans and river convoys delivered what the forest and steppe supplied in quantity: high-value furs, wax, honey, ironwork, and grimly enslaved people taken along the routes, a commerce attested by both archaeology and Eastern sources. Follow the metal itself, and the story becomes even clearer. The bullion economy left tools behind. Folding balances and standardized weights show up in graves and trading layers from Ireland to the Baltic, evidence that silver, coin, or scrap was valued by weight rather than by the stamp on its face. In hoards across Britain and Scandinavia, snipped dirhams sit alongside cut arm rings and ingots with testing nicks, ready for the pans of a portable scale. The silver circulated, was melted and recast, and moved again. That movement can now be traced with laboratory precision. Take the Bedale hoard from North Yorkshire, discovered in 2012 and dated to the late 9th or early 10th century. It contains 29 ingots, elaborate silver neck rings, and an inlaid sword pommel, objects that speak to wealth anchored in a bullion world. In 2025, a new study combined lead isotope and trace element analysis to fingerprint the metal. The results show a mixed portfolio. Much of the silver derived from Western European coin stocks, loot, tribute, and taxation recycled into bullion, but a substantial share originated in Islamic dirhams brought along Eastern trade corridors. 9 of the ingots, nearly a third of the hoard's silver, match geochemically to metal minted in regions corresponding to modern Iran and Iraq. One large neck ring even blends sources, physically twisting Eastern and Western silver into a single ornament. The scientific signature mirrors what the maps of hoards already imply: rivers of silver flowing from the mints of the Caliphate through middlemen on the Volga and Dnieper into Baltic emporia, and from there outward to Scandinavia and Viking Age England, Ireland, and the North Atlantic. Case studies from elsewhere lock the story in place. The Cuerdale and Vale of York hoards show the Anglo-Scandinavian world saturated with bullion at the turn of the 10th century, while Gotland's caches demonstrate a long arc in which dirhams dominate until the mid-10th century. The purity of those coins, around 90+%, made them ideal feedstock for remelting, and their Arabic inscriptions, naming mints and years, give us a built-in chronological ruler. But hoards aren't just lists of origins, they're also evidence for behavior. Vikings buried silver to hedge risk against theft, political turmoil, or a voyage that might end badly. Some hoards may be merchant reserves, others are windfalls that were never retrieved. And bullion itself underwrote daily life, market exchange, payments to warriors, and gifts that created obligation. To see this economy only as the spoils of raiding misses its scale and its structure. Raiding mattered, as the western component of Bedale's silver makes plain. But it was only one stream feeding a wider system in which Vikings were connectors, dealers, ferrymen, and brokers, tying the Baltic and North Sea to the fiscal engines of the Mediterranean and Central Asia. There are, of course, limits to what even the best science can resolve. Silver is often recycled, mixing and refining blur isotopic signals. The hoards we have are a biased sample, preserved by chance and discovery, and dirham flows waxed and waned with politics on the steppe and in the Caliphate. Some routes shifted, intermediaries changed. Yet when independent lines of evidence converge, fine spot maps, dye studies, weights and scales, and now geochemical fingerprints, the picture stabilizes. The great hoards aren't the byproducts of random plunder. They are the ledgers of a northern bullion economy powered in no small part by Islamic silver, and that reframes the Viking Age. The same longships that could strike monasteries also powered an Afro-Eurasian trade, hauling coin and ingot, fur and iron, and, too often, human beings across thousands of miles. If you want more data-driven deep dives into how archaeology and lab science redraw the Viking world, following the metal, not the myths, stay with us. And if this evidence-first approach helps you see the Viking economy differently, share the video so more people meet the hoards behind the headlines. In the end, the silver in the soil is a map. Read it. And you don't just find treasure. You find the roots that linked a farmhouse in Yorkshire and a farmstead on Gotland to markets that once glittered under the domes of Baghdad.